Bestie, I just have to say, if you had told me a formal dinner party could end in a literal screaming match, an actual ambulance rushing to a nightclub, and a completely ruined Valentine's Day event, I would have said, pack my bags, we're moving to Texas.
Honestly, at this point, the state of Texas needs to issue a formal apology to the entire concept of peace and quiet. I mean, the sheer volume of chaos that radiated through my television screen this week.
It was so much.
It gave my living room secondhand stress. Like, it is a masterclass in how absolutely not to manage your personal life.
Babes, welcome back. We love you. We see you. And honestly, adulthood should come with an instruction manual because we're all just confidently guessing.
And if we are looking at the women in Houston this week, mostly getting it entirely horribly wrong.
Totally wrong. So, to the Snark Squad, our favorite third besties sitting right here at the table with us. Grab your drink. We've got the Watermelon Ranch waters on deck today because it is so hot out the tea is literally scalding, and tonight absolutely calls for something refreshing.
Cheers to that, and cheers to surviving another week of, whatever the simulation is that we are currently navigating.
Cheers, babe. Okay, but before we even pack our bags for Houston and get into the absolute wreckage of these friendships, I need to ask you something.
Uh-oh.
No, seriously, we were texting about this at like 2 in the morning, but I want to lay it out for the room. If money wasn't an issue like limitless bank account, infinite resources, zero barrier to entry, what business would you launch by tomorrow morning?
Oh, tomorrow morning. I have this entirely mapped out down to the corporate letterhead. I'm not even kidding.
Wait, really? You have a letterhead?
Mentally, yes. And I know you're going to absolutely hate the fundamental premise of it, but it would be wildly profitable. I would launch an ultra-exclusive, highly aggressive consulting firm. I'm calling it The Reality Check.
I already hate the energy of that name so much. It sounds like a literal threat.
It is a threat. That's the entire brand identity.
Oh my gosh.
No, listen to the business model and follow the psychology on this. CEOs, billionaires, high-powered executives, they pay me $50,000 for a strict 15-minute Zoom call.
50 grand for 15 minutes.
Exactly. They present their absolute best, most guarded, most prized idea, and I just look them dead in the eye and tell them exactly why they are wrong.
You can't just do that.
I absolutely can. No sugarcoating, no corporate jargon. Just, that's a terrible concept. Your yes men are lying to you to protect their salaries. Please do better. And then I just hang up.
Babe, you would get sued so fast. You would get blacklisted from every major industry.
Yeah.
People with that kind of money do not pay to be humiliated.
See, that is where you completely misunderstand the psychology of the ultra-wealthy.
Really?
Yes, they would love it. These people live in a perpetual echo chamber. They are constantly surrounded by sycophants who just nod at every mediocre thought they have.
I mean, that's probably true.
Right. They are secretly desperate for someone to just, insult their intelligence and provide genuine friction. I would be a billionaire in a month because I'd be selling the one commodity they can't buy, which is the unvarnished truth.
I don't know, it just feels so cynical. It relies on the assumption that everyone at the top is completely delusional.
Well, have you looked at the state of the corporate world lately? Delusion is the primary currency.
Okay, fair point.
But fine, tell me yours. What is your utopian money is no object enterprise? Let me guess, it involves healing crystals and zero profit margins.
Hey. It's going to contribute to the greater good of humanity, actually. I would open a luxury wellness retreat, but it's not just a standard spa.
Oh, boy.
It's called Pause and Pause.
I am already bracing myself. Please tell me there are no animals involved.
Hear me out. It's a 5-star, all-inclusive eco-resort nestled in the mountains. We have sound baths, trauma-informed yoga, organic farm-to-table meals.
Okay, sounds like every other place in California.
But the catch is the operational hook. Every single guest is paired with a rescue puppy for the duration of their stay.
A rescue puppy?
Yes. You heal your inner child, you lower your cortisol levels, and simultaneously, you socialize a puppy that really needs a home. And by the end of the week, you can just adopt the puppy.
Okay, logistically, this is a beautiful nightmare. Have you even considered the sanitation aspect?
What do you mean?
Who is cleaning up the puppy accidents during the sound baths? Because a 6-week-old golden retriever does not care about the resonant frequency of your singing bowls.
We would have a dedicated staff of puppy doulas. Money is no object, remember. I would pay them a thriving wage.
a thriving wage for a puppy doula,
Right.
and you would accidentally end up as the CEO because you just invite everybody to stay for free.
I would not.
You absolutely would. You'd see someone crying in the grocery store and say, oh, you're having a bad day. Come stay at Pause and pause on the house.
I am a healer. I operate on vibes and community support.
Which is exactly why you would be utterly terrible at bookkeeping. You'd be paying the puppy doulas in, like exposure, positive affirmations, and organic kale.
Okay, rude.
The IRS would shut down Pause and pause by week 3 for gross financial negligence.
Well, probably accurate. I'm not a numbers girl. But imagine our first viral marketing campaign. We just do a slow-motion video of golden retriever puppies running through a field of lavender while Enya plays softly in the background. Tell me you wouldn't click on that.
I absolutely wouldn't. I'd be too busy hanging up on a Fortune 500 CEO.
You are heartless.
But let's talk capital. Who are you begging to invest in this? Because you need a celebrity face to give it that mainstream credibility.
Oh, Dolly Parton, obviously.
Okay, that's actually a solid choice.
Right. She loves animals. She loves people. She's an actual angel on earth. She would totally understand the vision. Who are you getting for the reality check?
Simon Cowell. Or Gordon Ramsay. Just pure, unadulterated, constructive hatred. It would be beautiful.
That is so dark.
It's like Shark Tank, but nobody gets any equity. They just get their feelings hurt and their business plans completely shredded.
You are so deeply toxic. But all this talk about our imaginary companies brings me to something else I've been thinking about. Running things requires strong opinions, and we both have some completely random hills we are willing to die on today.
Oh, we definitely do.
Let's just lay out our most unhinged hot takes. You first. Give me the heat.
Gladly. Number 1, and I mean this sincerely, meetings longer than 30 minutes should be illegal.
Illegal.
Banned by federal law. If you cannot articulate what you need to say, propose a solution, and assign action items in 29 minutes, you don't actually know what you're talking about.
But wait, what if you're...
You are just holding people hostage to make yourself feel important. Just send an email.
I want to push back on that, though. I think that assumes every meeting is just a status update. What if you need to creatively collaborate? Brainstorming takes time. You have to let the ideas breathe.
Brainstorming is just a corporate camouflage word for nobody did the prep work before the call.
Oh my gosh.
It's true. If everyone read the brief, it would take 15 minutes. Anyway, tip number 2. Happy hour should start at 2 p.m.
Wait, 2 p.m.? That's barely past lunch.
By 2 p.m., the day has fully shown its true colors. We already know if it's a disaster or a triumph. Why are we forcing ourselves to wait until 5 p.m. to celebrate or mourn? Let's just embrace the reality at 2 o'clock.
Okay, I actually fully support the 2 p.m. happy hour. We can implement that at Pause and Pause. Pups and Pinot, right at 2. What's your third?
Take 3, and I will defend this to my absolute last breath. Self-checkout is the greatest invention in modern society.
No.
Yes, because casual, forced interaction with strangers is exhausting. I do not want to discuss my produce choices. I do not want to talk about the weather.
You are so antisocial.
I want to scan my oat milk in complete, beautiful silence and vanish into the night like Batman.
Oh, absolutely not. Bestie, you are so incredibly wrong for this. Self-checkout is society's biggest scam.
How is it a scam? It's efficient.
Because they have completely outsourced the labor to the consumer. They aren't paying us or giving us a discount for doing it, and they are eliminating jobs. Plus, we actually need human connection.
We really don't.
We do. The person bagging your groceries might be the only smile someone gets all day.
I am not legally or morally responsible for the emotional fulfillment of the tri-state area. I just want my groceries without having to perform pleasantries.
You are an absolute monster. Okay, well, here are my hot takes. Number 1. Every restaurant on Earth should serve breakfast all day.
See, that's just chaotic.
It is a crime against humanity that if I want a Belgian waffle at 4 p.m., I am denied. Time is a construct. The grill is already hot. Just give me the pancakes.
See, I completely disagree with this on a structural level.
Structural level, it's breakfast.
Yes, but the exclusivity of breakfast is what makes it special. It is a boundary. If you can get a hash brown at 8 p.m., society crumbles. You lose all sense of order.
We hate joy, and you just love rules.
Okay.
Okay, number 2. Sunday afternoons are elite.
Okay, explain.
Well, everyone always complains that Sunday night gives them the Sunday scaries and all this anxiety. But Sunday from exactly 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. is peak coziness. You have nowhere to be. Nothing is expected of you. The world is just quiet. You can take a nap, watch a movie. It is the golden hour of the entire week.
I'll actually give you that one. There is a specific stillness to a Sunday afternoon, but Only if my phone is completely on Do Not Disturb. What's your final take?
My final take is that leaving long voice notes is a love language.
Oh, I vehemently disagree.
People pretend they hate them, but hearing your best friend spiral for 3 minutes straight without interruption, just pure stream of consciousness, is the highest form of entertainment.
A 3-minute voice note is an audiobook I didn't purchase.
You're so mean.
Just text me the bullet points, please. Snark Squad, you have to weigh in on this in the group chat. Are you team self-checkout or team breakfast all day? Because clearly this friendship is hanging by a thread over scanning our own groceries and waffle availability.
Seriously, tell us whose side you're on. But, joking about what we'd build if we had unlimited money and arguing about these little boundaries, it actually perfectly sets up the disaster we need to talk about today.
It really does.
Because watching these women in Houston fight over their businesses, their brands, and their perceived status really got me thinking about how we measure our own lives. Success looks entirely different now than it did 10 years ago, doesn't it?
It completely shifts. The metric shifts entirely as you get older and, well, hopefully a little wiser.
Right, exactly. So let's get a little reflective for a second before we get to the drama. I want to know, one thing you used to think success looked like, one thing you value much more today, one quiet goal you're working toward, and one proud thing nobody else would ever notice. Go.
Okay. Wow, putting me on the spot. I used to think success looked like being the absolute busiest person in the room.
Oh, I feel that.
Like if my calendar wasn't double booked, if I wasn't constantly stressed and fielding calls, I wasn't important. I fully bought into that whole hustle and grind toxicity.
Oh, totally. The I'll sleep when I'm dead era of the mid-2010s, it was just exhausting.
Exactly. What I value way more today is having absolute control and autonomy over my time. True success to me now is an empty Tuesday afternoon where I can just sit in silence and not owe anyone an explanation.
That is beautiful. What about your quiet goal?
My quiet goal, I'm trying to actually read fiction again, to engage my imagination instead of just constantly consuming think pieces, data analytics, and business articles.
I love that. And the proud thing.
And the proud thing nobody notices. I have successfully stopped responding to non-urgent emails on weekends.
Wow.
It physically pains my nervous system, but I'm holding the boundary.
I am so proud of you for that. That is massive growth for someone who used to reply to emails at 3 in the morning.
It was a nightmare.
What about you?
For me, I used to think success looked like universal approval. Being the universally beloved, zero-conflict girl who could mold herself to fit whatever room she walked into.
The people-pleasing Olympics. It's a dangerous game because you just lose yourself in the process. Exactly. And what I value more today is being respected, even if it means being a little disliked, because I finally set a firm boundary. I would rather you be mad at me for saying no than be exhausted from saying yes.
That is huge for you.
Right. My quiet goal is learning how to cook actual, nourishing, complex meals from scratch, instead of just surviving on protein bars and vibes.
Good luck with that one.
Hey. And my proud thing, nobody notices. I haven't hit the snooze button in 2 full weeks. When the alarm goes off, I just get up.
Okay, domestic goddess with the circadian rhythm of a champion. Look at us, getting all deep, evolved, and emotionally intelligent.
I know, we are basically certified therapists now. We have it all together.
Yeah.
Just kidding. My laundry has been sitting in the dryer for 3 business days, and I'm wearing mismatched socks.
Same. But Biggs, enough about our imaginary empires and our fake evolution. Let's head to Houston, where everybody is chasing success, aggressively protecting their fragile friendships, and absolutely stirring the pot along the way.
Stirring the pot is an understatement.
Because the events of this week, it completely broke my brain.
We have to start with the dinner. Let's set the scene for the Rafa's restaurant rumble, because my blood pressure is already spiking. Just remembering the tension in that room.
Let's frame the context for everyone, because the dynamics here are incredibly layered.
Totally.
We are at Rafa's, a beautiful high-end restaurant, Muneera, who has seemingly appointed herself as the United Nations peacekeeper of this group.
A role nobody actually asked her to take on, by the way.
Exactly. She gets all the ladies together. Her stated goal is to clear the air after that disastrous couples night where everything went completely off the rails.
Right, and let's just clock the energy immediately as people start arriving. Chloe walks into this stunning restaurant looking so lost, sad, and fully defensive.
The body language was screaming.
She literally rolls her eyes right at the top of the gathering. It's like she walked in carrying this massive dark cloud over her head, complaining right away that she has issues at home.
Which we know is a complete deflection. She is dealing with the fallout of her relationship with Jordan, specifically that 17-year age gap and the swirling cheating rumors that she refuses to fully address.
But she uses that home drama to immediately set this incredibly negative, heavy tone for the evening. It's a preemptive strike.
It's defensive posturing. It's a very common psychological tactic. She knows she's walking into the hot seat because of her behavior at previous events, so she plays the victim before anyone can even say a single word.
Right, like, don't yell at me, I'm already sad.
Exactly. If she is already suffering, how dare they attack her? But Muneera, to her credit, or detriment, depending on how you look at it, is not letting it go. She brings up the absolute elephant in the room, the precious comment.
Okay, we need to unpack the mechanics of this entire mystery because it has been dragging on for weeks, and it is the crux of why this group is fractured.
Let's lay out the timeline of what actually happened at that initial event versus how it was spun. Because for weeks, there has been a massive game of telephone.
A very messy game of telephone.
Muneera finally admits at the table that she started the conversation that night by saying Latoria's friend, a guest at the event, looked like an actress. Then, Chloe jumps in at the table and vehemently claims she only said the name Gabrielle Sidib.
Right, she tries to make it sound like an innocent celebrity comparison.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I was just saying she looks like this beautiful actress.
But then, and this is reality television gold, the moment we all wait for, the producers are finally like, enough of the lies, roll the raw footage.
Yes, the brilliant fourth wall break. They actually play the unedited tape for the audience, and it shows exactly how insidious this interaction was.
Let's break down the tape.
Let's do it.
Muneera says the woman looks like an actress. Chloe says Gabrielle Sidib. But then LeBrina, our supposed girl's girl, the one who is always preaching about women's empowerment.
Oh, don't even get me started on LeBrina.
LeBrina baits Chloe. She leans in with this conspiratorial smirk and asks, what's the name of the movie with Monique?
It was pure, intentional bait. She teed her up perfectly.
And Chloe, without missing a single beat, proudly and loudly says, precious. And then LeBrina repeats it loudly multiple times, asking, why are you saying it so loud? While they're both just cackling.
It was so mean.
It wasn't a casual observation. It was mean-spirited, nasty, targeted laughter.
We really need to talk about why that specific insult is so damaging. This wasn't just them saying, oh, she looks like this person. To call a black woman precious in that derogatory, mocking tone is loaded with so much historical colorism, fatphobia, and classism.
It really is.
It is a specific type of cruelty designed to strip someone of their dignity. It is the anatomy of a smear campaign caught on camera.
Exactly. It relies on shared societal prejudices to land the punchline. And let's deeply analyze the PR spin Chloe attempted afterward. Because Chloe is highly aware of the environment she is in.
Oh, completely.
She knew the cameras were rolling, she knew the boom mics were hot and picking up their audio. So what is her immediate reaction when she realizes she might face backlash?
She runs straight to Latoria.
Yes. She runs to Latoria, the friend whose guests they were openly mocking, and she twists the narrative entirely. She tells Latoria that LeBrina was the one making all the offensive comments, completely absolving herself of her role as the punchline deliverer.
It is so manipulative. It is a textbook rewrite of history.
It's pure damage control, but it's done at the expense of a friendship. Chloe realized, oh wait, this is going to look terrible for my brand, so she tried to get ahead of the edit. She weaponized Latoria's feelings to protect her own reputation.
It's interesting.
She essentially used Latoria as a human shield against public criticism, and LeBrina is no better in this scenario. When confronted at the table, LeBrina tries to argue that they were saying it in a positive way.
I wanted to throw my remote at the television.
Right.
There is no positive connotation when you are cackling, holding your hand over your mouth, and side-eyeing a woman from across the room.
None.
You do not get to rewrite the emotional reality of your actions just because you got caught. I just empathize so much with this poor woman who was the butt of the joke. She was just existing, enjoying an event, supporting her friend Latoria, and these so-called boss women, these supposed highly successful entrepreneurs, are acting like two messy, gossiping teenagers in a middle school cafeteria. It is beyond disappointing.
It's a massive regression. When people feel insecure in a group dynamic, they often revert to high school behavior forming an in-group by establishing an out-group. Mocking that woman was their way of bonding.
Right.
And of course, the table entirely erupts, because in this group, nobody wants to hold the bag of accountability. Ashley, who has clearly reached her absolute limit with Chloe's perpetual victim act, drops the ultimate read. She calls Chloe a bone collector.
Which for our Snark Squad, who might not be steeped in reality TV vernacular, A bone collector is a very specific type of person.
Very specific.
It means someone who actively hoards gossip. They dig up dirt, they hold on to it for weeks or months, and then they drop it at the exact moment it will cause the maximum amount of collateral damage. They don't share information to help, they share it to destroy.
That is a perfect definition. They don't collect bones to build a dinosaur. They collect them to build a weapon. And LeBrina, sensing an opportunity to deflect from her own terrible behavior, piggybacks off this.
Of course she does.
She jumps on Ashley's train and starts calling Chloe messy. Chloe, feeling cornered, immediately fires back, pointing a finger at LeBrina and screaming that she is a mean girl.
And you know what the craziest part of this entire exchange is?
What?
They are both completely right. Two things can be true at the exact same time. Chloe is incredibly messy and manipulative with information, and LeBrina is operating like a textbook mean girl who hides behind a fake smile. They are two sides of the identical toxic coin.
Absolutely. What we are watching is mutual projection. They are projecting their own absolute worst traits onto each other because it's easier to attack someone else than look in the mirror.
Wow.
Chloe hates LeBrina's sneakiness because Chloe is sneaky. LeBrina hates Chloe's messiness because LeBrina loves the mess.
It's just an exhausting dynamic to watch. But speaking of people who absolutely refuse to take accountability for their own messes and rely on projection, we have to transition out of Rafa's restaurant and head over to Miss Sylvia's therapy office.
Yes, let's go there.
Because Ro is currently dealing with a man who could write a PhD dissertation on playing the victim.
The scene with Ro, Javon, and Miss Sylvia was incredibly heavy. It was a stark contrast to the petty drama at the dinner. Let's frame this up.
Okay, set the scene.
Ro brings her ex, and let's remember, her former best friend and first love, Javon, to see Miss Sylvia, who is a professional therapist. They are supposed to be hashing out their severe co-parenting issues regarding their 13-year-old daughter, Sophia.
Right, and Miss Sylvia, God bless her, is doing the heavy lifting this season. She's earning every single cent of her hourly rate.
She really is. So let's critically break down Javon's argument here because it is a masterclass in deflection.
Go for it.
He lives in Miami. He has 5 kids in total, meaning 4 of his other children live in the same city as him. Sophia only visits him in the summer. And his big complaint, his primary excuse for not being a present, active father in her daily life is that there is a 30-day adjustment period when she arrives in Miami. And it's just, hard to connect with her because she's a teenager.
I was yelling at my screen. Hard? You are her father. Raising a teenager is hard for everyone, but you don't just opt out.
Exactly.
Miss Sylvia completely calls him out on this nonsense. She looks him dead in the eye and delivers this profound truth. She says, you are her first love. This is a pivotal time in her development. Dads teach young girls how to be loved and what to accept from men. You need to call her 2 to 3 times a week.
And how does he respond to professional guidance?
Yeah.
He deflects again. He shifts the blame to Ro. He starts making excuses about how Ro blocks his number when they get into arguments.
It was so frustrating.
But Ro, who is incredibly sharp, checks him immediately. She says, okay, even if we argue, you don't even call to ask about her grades. You don't ask about her day-to-day life.
And this is where the psychological manipulation gets so dark and insidious. Javon realizes he is losing the argument on the merits of fatherhood, so he pivots.
A classic pivot.
He starts weaponizing his own financial insecurities. He brings up the past, talking about how he isn't an NBA player and doesn't have multimillionaire money anymore. He is intentionally trying to paint Ro as this materialistic, shallow monster who is keeping him from his child simply because he isn't rich enough.
It is a textbook distraction tactic. He is trying to shift the narrative from I am an absent father who doesn't call my child to I'm an emasculated man who is being financially shamed.
Exactly.
He wants Miss Sylvia and the audience to feel sorry for him. He wants to be the victim of capitalism and superficiality.
Which is so infuriating because it makes absolutely no sense. Javon using his bank account to excuse not calling his daughter is like saying you can't read a book because your car's out of gas.
That is a great analogy.
Right. The two systems are completely unrelated, but he's hoping you'll be too distracted by the empty tank to notice he hasn't even opened the cover. His bank account has absolutely nothing to do with picking up a cell phone and asking a 13-year-old how her math test went. It costs $0 to be emotionally present.
$0.
Exactly. It is a free phone call. And this is where my heart just shattered into a million pieces for Ro. Because despite all his manipulation, despite him throwing these unfair accusations at her, Ro has this incredible, genuine emotional breakthrough.
She really did.
She doesn't scream. She doesn't walk out. She admits her faults. She owns up to the fact that she blocks him when she gets mad, which she shouldn't do. but then she just drops all her pride.
Yeah.
The defensive wall completely crumbles.
She gets so incredibly vulnerable in a way you rarely see on these shows.
She is crying, real visceral tears, and she looks at this man who is actively trying to manipulate her, and she says, I didn't have your baby for a reason. I was in love with you. You were my best friend, my first relationship. I didn't love you for your money or because you flew me out. I loved you because I trusted you.
And then she takes the ultimate high road. She apologizes.
Yes, she apologizes for anything materialistic she might have said in her 20s when they were younger and caught up in that lifestyle. She tells him she is a grown woman now, she respects him as a human being, and she just wants him to be a dad.
Wow.
The emotional maturity it takes to put your ego aside like that on national television, to validate the feelings of someone who's hurting you, just to try and fix your puzzle piece family for the sake of your daughter. I was in absolute awe of her.
It was a beautiful moment of radical accountability. She recognized that her past behavior, even if it was years ago, might have genuinely wounded his pride. By validating his feelings of emasculation, she disarmed him.
She totally did.
She said, I hear your pain, I apologize for my part in it, but I am still holding the boundary that you need to step up for our daughter. That is true leadership in a family dynamic.
Yeah.
She didn't let his distraction tactic work, but she didn't attack him for trying it.
It really is profound. Ro is out here doing the deep, heavy, generational trauma work. She is learning how to handle other people's brokenness with grace and empathy without compromising her own standards.
Unfortunately, grace and empathy are completely missing from our next topic. Because while Ro is learning how to hold space for others, Chloe completely missed the memo.
She didn't just miss it, she shredded it.
She didn't just miss the empathy memo, she set it on fire, stomped on the ashes, and then complained that the smoke got in her eyes.
Oh, this transition is perfect. Because Ro's willingness to drop her ego makes Chloe's behavior later that night even more jarring. Let's get into the aftermath of the Rafa's dinner. I don't even know if I have the appropriate words for how horrified I was by this sequence of events.
I will set the stage, because the context is vital here. The ladies, minus Chloe and Muneera, decide to meet up for drinks at a lounge called Allure to decompress after the screaming match at Rafa's.
Right.
And Latoria, who has been relatively quiet, finally reveals what happened off-camera as they were leaving the restaurant.
And he said context is everything. It was the exact anniversary of Latoria's father's death. She is currently dealing with the overwhelming logistical and emotional burden of trying to sell his house.
Which is so stressful.
She is grieving, she is stressed with running her PR firm, and she just sat at a dinner table watching her friends viciously tear each other apart. So naturally, as they are leaving, the pressure cooker explodes and she starts crying.
A completely human, involuntary, physical reaction to extreme stress and grief.
And Chloe, the woman Latoria has been fiercely defending for weeks, looks at her and says, verbatim, stop all that damn crying. What are you crying for?
It is genuinely sociopathic behavior to look at a grieving friend, someone who has put their own reputation on the line to have your back, and aggressively tell them to shut up because their tears are a minor inconvenience to your mood. It is disgusting.
It's unbelievable.
But the tragedy is that it gets so much worse.
It does. Latoria is so stressed, so physically exhausted, and so deeply hurt by this callous comment that she decides she just needs to walk away. She heads toward the stairs at Allure to leave the lounge, and her body just gives out.
Oh my gosh.
The physiological toll of the panic and grief overwhelms her central nervous system. She falls backward down the stairs and has a literal seizure on the floor.
A severe, life-threatening medical emergency. The other women had to call an ambulance. You can see the sheer panic in their eyes because they legitimately thought she was dying on that staircase. It is terrifying to watch.
And where is Chloe during all of this?
Nowhere to be found. Completely absent.
We have to dissect Chloe's absolute lack of empathy here, because it goes beyond just being a bad friend. The fact that she can witness her friend suffering emotional distress, insult her for it, and then completely ignore a major medical emergency proves a very dark psychological trait. Chloe only views people as props in the movie of her own life.
Exactly. This is textbook narcissism. Latoria is not a human being to Chloe. She is an accessory. She is a loyal soldier meant to absorb incoming fire.
Right, a shield.
But when the accessory stops being fun, or when the soldier starts requiring emotional support and care, Chloe simply discards it. She literally cannot compute why she should have to care about someone else's pain if it doesn't directly serve her.
It's so chilling.
I am begging Latoria to cut this toxicity out of her life permanently. You cannot reason with someone who lacks the fundamental neurological capacity for empathy.
I am rooting for Latoria so hard. She is such a pure soul, and she does not deserve to be treated like an emotional punching bag by someone she thought was a sister.
No, she doesn't. But Chloe isn't the only one committing absolute acts of betrayal this week. Let's talk about our self-proclaimed peacekeeper, LeBrina, who decided to put on her camouflage, cross enemy lines, and sit down with the one man in Houston who is currently public enemy #1.
Oh, this scene made me so viscerally angry. We have to get into the smear campaign featuring Alaina, her estranged husband Josh, and LeBrina.
This is the ultimate betrayal of the sisterhood. Let's look at the facts. Alaina is going through a devastating, highly publicized separation and divorce from Josh. We know for a fact that Josh has been caught in a major cheating scandal.
Yes, a massive one.
He humiliated her publicly. Alaina has drawn strict, necessary boundaries to protect her peace and her business. And what does LeBrina do with this information?
She goes to lunch with Josh, on camera.
Right in the absolute middle of a bitter, litigious divorce. She sits down with this man at a restaurant and intentionally gives him a massive platform to spew his propaganda.
And Josh came ready with a fully rehearsed script. He claims that he built the entire infrastructure of Alaina's wildly successful makeup brand and studio, Color Dower. He looks LeBrina in the eye and says he did all the taxes, he ran the background operations, and he just stayed quiet and saved space for her to shine, all to protect his family.
It is the most fragile, transparent male ego nonsense I have ever heard. Let's explain what he's doing here.
Please do.
He is attempting to rewrite the history of her success because he cannot stand the fact that she is thriving without him. He is trying to take credit for her empire. It's a very specific type of financial and professional gaslighting.
It really is.
But he doesn't stop at the business. He knows that's not enough to ruin her, so he drops a massive radioactive bomb. He tells LeBrina that Alaina cheated on him last year.
I literally gasped out loud. Now, let's be real. We need to push back on Josh's narrative heavily here. Josh is doing this on camera purely to ruin Alaina's brand and distract the public from his own highly documented cheating scandal.
This is a psychological manipulation tactic known as DARVO: deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender.
Oh, explain exactly how that works in this context.
Okay, so first, he denies his own culpability by minimizing his cheating. Then, he attacks Alaina's credibility by claiming she is a fraud who didn't even build her own business.
Right.
Finally, he reverses the roles. He claims she is actually the cheater, making him the victim. He wants the audience to say, well, they both cheated, so she's not a victim, and he's not the bad guy. He is actively attempting to assassinate her character to level the playing field.
It is so calculated and malicious. But honestly, the real villain in this specific scene isn't Josh. We expect Josh to act like a snake. He has already proven his character. The villain here is LeBrina.
Yes, let's examine LeBrina's complicity. Why is a woman who constantly preaches about peace, unity, and being a girl's girl giving this man the time of day?
Exactly. If you hear a rumor about your friend or if you're confused about the state of her business, you go to your friend. You ask her privately. You do not sit down with her emotionally abusive ex-husband. Nod along sympathetically as he systematically destroys her reputation, and then run back to the friend group to spread the gossip.
LeBrina gathering intel from Josh isn't making peace. It's like a firefighter showing up to a burning house, taking detailed notes on how hot the flames are, offering the arsonist a glass of water, and then walking away to tell the neighbors how bad the fire is.
That is the perfect analogy.
She's a spectator in a uniform, pretending to help while actively watching it burn. She is operating under the guise of, oh, I'm just gathering information so I can understand the whole picture. But really, she is weaponizing that information. She took that meeting knowing exactly what he was going to say.
And the proof is in what she did next. She brought the gossip straight back to Ro, Latoria, and Ashley instead of calling Alaina directly. It is so deeply hypocritical.
It really is.
She spent the entire Rafa's dinner screaming at Chloe for being messy, and the very next day, she executes a calculated betrayal that is 10 times worse.
Which brings us to the inevitable climax. With all these secrets, lies, health scares, and smear campaigns bubbling just under the surface, it was mathematically impossible for Chloe's big Valentine's Day party not to turn into an absolute battlefield.
Bestie, this party was a visual masterpiece and an emotional disaster.
Let's talk about the aesthetic first, because we have to give credit where it is due. Chloe knows how to throw an event.
She really does.
It was her lavish Valentine's Day Love Club party. Red carpets, stunning floral decor, people dressed to the nines in formal gowns, and my personal favorite, most chaotic detail smoothies on the rocks.
Honestly, serving a smoothie over ice in a cocktail glass at a formal evening event is a wild, bold choice.
Mm-hmm.
But I respect the commitment to hydration. But the vibes, rotten from the core the second the doors open.
Immediately, Chloe spots Ro arriving and decides this is the perfect time for confrontation. She pulls Ro outside to give what might be the worst, most poorly constructed apology in the history of television.
It was physically painful to watch.
Yeah.
Chloe's apology to Ro was basically a Trojan horse. It looked like a gift from the outside. But once Ro let it in, it was just filled with Chloe's own grievances waiting to attack.
Exactly.
She says sorry for cussing Ro out on the phone earlier in the week, but in the exact same breath, without even a pause, she makes it entirely about herself. She complains, well, nobody came to my defense at the table when LeBrina was attacking me.
She literally cannot fathom a universe where she is simply in the wrong. There always has to be a justification, a caveat, or a pivot to her own victimhood.
Always.
And Ro, who just spent the week doing intense emotional labor with her ex, is not having it. Ro refuses the fake hug. She just stands there, arms crossed, totally unbothered, and says, I'm not doing this.
It was such a power move by Ro.
Yeah.
And then Latoria walks up to the patio, and it goes from bad to worse. Latoria, who has had time to physically recover from the hospital and mentally process everything, finally confronts Chloe face-to-face about the seizure and the cruel comment about her crying.
This is the critical juncture. This is the moment for Chloe to redeem herself, to say, I was overwhelmed, I wasn't thinking, I panicked when you fell, I am so deeply, profoundly sorry.
Does she do that? Does she show an ounce of humanity?
No.
Chloe laughs. She actually smirks and chuckles.
It's sickening.
She tries to gaslight Latoria by claiming she didn't hear why Latoria was crying, as if the reason matters. And then, the absolute nail in the coffin, Chloe looks at her friend who just survived a medical emergency and complains, you have to understand, I've been sad the past few days.
I was pacing my living room. How can you possibly make your friend's literal seizure about your own generic sad days?
I don't know.
It is a stunning display of narcissistic behavior. She is actively minimizing Latoria's physical trauma to elevate her own minor inconvenience. She is essentially saying, your near-death experience is less important than my bad mood.
I was in utter disbelief. Ro and Latoria realize in real time that they're talking to a brick wall. They literally just walk away from her because it's completely pointless to argue with someone who cannot access empathy. Right.
But they don't get to rest. Because who walks into the party looking like $1 million? Alaina.
Looking stunning, perfectly styled, and entirely unaware that her name has been dragged through the mud by LeBrina all week.
So Ro and Latoria are faced with a massive moral dilemma. Do they tell her at a party? Do they ruin her night?
It's a tough call.
They decide they have to because LeBrina is walking around the party acting like Alina's friend. They pull Alaina aside and they drop the bomb. They tell her everything that Josh has been filming with LeBrina, claiming he built Color Dower and spreading rumors that Alaina cheated on him.
Now let's analyze Alaina's reaction. Most people, upon hearing that their estranged husband and their supposed friend are conspiring to ruin their life on television, would flip a table.
Or scream.
They would throw a smoothie on the rocks. They would scream, cry, or storm out. How does Alaina react?
She doesn't even blink. Her heart rate doesn't even seem to go up. She gives this icy Stepford wife smile, clutches her pearls, literally, and just softly says, the nerve. It was chilling. It was cinematic. It was the reaction of a woman who has already consulted 3 lawyers, a forensic accountant, a PR crisis team, and possibly a hitman. She is not mad. She is activated.
I know some people think it was messy of Ro and Latoria to tell her at a public event.
I disagree. I think it was necessary. When there is a snake in the grass, you don't wait until the next day to tell someone where they are stepping.
Exactly.
Alaina needs to know who her enemies are in that room, and LeBrina just painted a massive target on her own back. Alaina is about to go to war, and I am seated for it.
Seated, buckled in, and taking detailed notes. Which brings us perfectly into analyzing the standout performances of the week. Let's start with our first breakdown CEO of the week. We have to choose the cast member who impressed us most based on leadership, confidence, decision-making, and overall hustle. Who is your pick?
I have thought about this extensively, and my CEO of the week is Alaina.
Really? Defend it. She was barely in the first half of the show.
That is exactly why she is the CEO. True power is remaining completely unbothered in the face of absolute chaos. Think about the psychological warfare being waged against her.
True.
Her ex-husband is on a media tour trying to destroy her reputation, steal credit for her company, and frame her as an adulterer. Her supposed friend, LeBrina, is acting as a double agent. And when she gets hit with this massive, world-shattering gossip at a public event, she doesn't crack. She doesn't give them the satisfaction of her reaction, the nerve, that stoicism.
It is iconic.
That is the mark of a boss who knows her paperwork is tight. She knows she owns 100% of that LLC. She didn't let Josh or LeBrina ruin her brand or her night.
Okay, that is a compelling argument.
Yeah.
The stoicism was legendary, and she definitely won the optics battle. But I have to push back because I am going a different route. My CEO of the week is Ro.
Ro. Okay, lay out the case for Ro.
Her emotional maturity this week was staggering. And emotional intelligence is a crucial leadership trait. To sit in that therapy session with Javon, a man who is actively trying to manipulate her and weaponize his own insecurities against her and not take the bait, that is high-level leadership.
I see that.
She didn't scream, she didn't get defensive, she didn't attack his flaws, she dropped her ego, admitted her past faults, and validated his feelings, all to protect her daughter's peace. She modeled exactly what a healthy, evolved woman looks like.
That's true.
Plus, look at how she handled Chloe. She refused to accept that fake apology at the party. She set firm boundaries in her personal life and her friendships. She is managing her life like a Fortune 500 company.
I hear you, and the emotional intelligence was undeniably high. But I struggle to call that CEO behavior. Doing the emotional labor for an incompetent man isn't running a business, it's being a caretaker. Alaina's strategic restraint feels more aligned with actual executive leadership, but both women showed incredible strength in entirely different ways. Snark Squad, let us know in the chat, are you Team Ro's emotional intelligence or Team Alaina's icy resilience?
I can't wait to see the votes on that. But speaking of Alaina and Josh, we need to transition to our next breakdown. Business or personal? Let's dissect this massive conflict of LeBrina meeting with Josh to discuss Alaina's business and marriage.
The central question here is motive. Was Josh claiming he built the infrastructure of Color Dower really about protecting his business interests, or was it a purely personal, vindictive attack designed to ruin her?
Oh, it was 100% personal. There is zero business logic here. If Josh actually cared about the infrastructure of Color Dower, or if he felt he had a legitimate claim to equity, he would be handling this in mediation with his lawyers. You don't litigate corporate ownership at a lunch table, on camera, with your ex-wife's friend. He is going on television to emasculate her professionally because he failed her personally. He knows her brand is her pride and joy. By claiming he did all the taxes and background work, he's trying to reduce her to just a pretty face with a makeup brush.
It is deeply misogynistic, entirely vindictive, and aimed at destroying her confidence.
Complete.
It's an attempt to bankrupt her social capital. He wants the viewers to think she is a fraud. But let's turn the lens on LeBrina's role in this, because this is where the real debate lies. Could this entire mess have been avoided?
Completely avoided. If LeBrina was actually concerned about Alaina, if she was genuinely confused about Josh's claims or the state of their divorce, she could have just direct messaged Alaina or called her.
Right.
Or, here is a crazy idea. She could have refused to film with him entirely. No thank you, I am loyal to my friend. It is a complete sentence.
Right, but LeBrina's actions were not driven by genuine concern. I don't believe for a second that she was confused. They were driven by a desperation for screen time and a desire to be at the absolute center of the mess.
Say again?
She wanted to hold the smoking gun. She claims she wants peace in the group, but she actively sought out the most radioactive man in Houston. You cannot claim to be a girl's girl when you are voluntarily handing the microphone to your friend's abuser. She chose proximity to drama over loyalty to a friend.
It is entirely indefensible. You cannot straddle the fence when your friend is at war, which leads us perfectly into evaluating these dynamics overall. It is time for the friendship stock market.
Let's do it.
We are going to buy, hold, or sell these major relationships based on this week's chaos. Let's start with the darkest one. Chloe and LaToria.
Oh, I am smashing the sell button. Sell, sell, sell. Liquidate the assets, close the account, burn the corporate headquarters to the ground.
Same. I am zeroing out my portfolio on them. There's absolutely no coming back from this. You cannot look at a grieving woman on the exact anniversary of her father's death and tell her to stop crying because it annoys you.
Never.
And you certainly cannot ignore her when she falls backward down a staircase and has a severe medical emergency.
The friendship is completely morally bankrupt. Chloe has shown exactly who she is, and when someone shows you they lack empathy, you believe them the first time. Latoria would be foolish to ever invest a single ounce of emotional energy into her again. Sell.
Okay, what about Chloe and LeBrina? They have been circling each other all season.
I'm also putting a hard sell on this one, but for a completely different psychological reason. I'm selling because they are too alike.
They really are. They operate on the exact same frequency.
They are both incredibly messy, they both fundamentally refuse to take accountability for their actions, and they both project their flaws onto each other.
It's toxic.
When you put two narcissists in a room, they don't form a lasting friendship. They form a mutually assured destruction pact. They will never actually trust each other because they recognize their own worst, most manipulative traits in the other person. It is a ticking time bomb. Sell.
I completely agree. It is a transactional alliance, not a friendship. Okay, let's end this segment on a positive note. What are we buying?
I am buying Roe and Latoria's stock in bulk. I am taking out a second mortgage to invest in this friendship.
Yes. The way Roe fiercely protected Latoria's peace this week was beautiful to watch. It was true sisterhood. At Rafa's, when Latoria was getting overwhelmed by the screaming, Roe stepped in and checked the table.
She did.
At the Love Club party, when Chloe was actively gaslighting Latoria about the seizure, Roe didn't stay silent. She literally stood by her friend's side, validated her reality, and looked Chloe in the eye and said, "You are not a good friend."
Roe is acting as the emotional bodyguard that Latoria desperately needs right now. It is a mutually supportive, grounded, reality-based friendship. In a room full of people playing games, they are the only two people operating with authenticity. Buy, hold, and let it compound interest.
I love that for them. We love a healthy dynamic. All right, we have reached the final phase of our breakdown. Next week's predictions. Look into your crystal ball, analyze the data we've gathered today, and give me your biggest prediction for what happens next.
My biggest prediction is a clash of the titans. Alaina is going to confront LeBrina, and here's the key. She is not going to yell.
Oh, definitely not.
We saw her stoicism at the party. She is going to absolutely decimate LeBrina with terrifying, quiet precision. She is going to lay out a structural, moral, and perhaps even legal indictment of LeBrina's character that will leave LeBrina stuttering and entirely unable to defend herself.
Oh, I can see it so clearly. Alaina is going to read her for absolute filth without raising her voice above a whisper. I have a prediction regarding Alaina, too. I predict a massive business win is going to come out of this smear campaign.
What kind of win?
I think Elena's brand, Color Dower, is going to see a huge, unprecedented spike in sales next week. Because the viewers, the Snark Squad, everybody watching this unfold, we are all going to rally behind her against Josh.
That makes sense.
There is nothing people love more than a woman scorned who handles it with supreme class. We're all going to buy her highlighters out of pure spite for Josh.
Never underestimate the power of spite purchasing as an economic driver. It is a highly motivating factor. What is your prediction for the next friendship to implode?
It has to be Muneera, and literally whoever she tries to bring together next. Because her compulsive need to be the peacemaker is officially starting forest fires.
She really is.
She tries to mediate, but because she lacks tact, she just ends up bringing the matches and the gasoline to the conflict. Eventually, someone in the group is going to turn on her and scream, "Stop organizing these dinners. We do not want to break bread."
So true. Every time she books a reservation, a friendship dies. Okay, give me your chaotic theory. The one that makes no logical sense but feels entirely possible in the warped universe of this cast.
Oh, my chaotic theory. Based on his manipulation tactics and therapy, Jay Vaughn is going to try to move back in with Roe.
No, absolutely not.
Yes. Think about the psychology of a man who feels he is losing control. He sees her thriving. He sees her emotional maturity. He misses the access to her resources and her stability. He literally cried in therapy to garner sympathy.
He did do that.
He is going to use Sophia's 30-day adjustment period as a Trojan horse excuse. He's going to say, "Oh, it's so hard for her to adjust to Miami. Maybe I should just stay in your guest room in Houston for the summer to help her transition." And it is going to confuse their newly established co-parenting boundaries entirely, and Roe is going to spiral because she has too much empathy.
Babe, do not speak that dark energy into existence. Roe has worked way too hard to build her emotional walls to let that man back into her sanctuary. But hearing you lay it out like that, you're probably entirely right. He knows exactly how to play on her maternal instincts and her guilt.
I am always right. That's exactly why Pause and Pause would be a billion-dollar retreat. I see the emotional patterns before they happen.
You are insufferable when you're right, but I love you anyway. All right, Snark Squad, it is your turn to weigh in on all of this. We need you in the group chat immediately. Who is your CEO of the week?
Yes. Are you backing Rose's emotional intelligence or Alaina's icy resilience? Which friendship are you investing your stock in?
And most importantly, circling back to the beginning, if money was absolutely no object, what business would you launch by tomorrow morning? Are you team pause and pause or team reality check?
Choose wisely, because your answer says a lot about your psychology.
It really does.
Thank you all so much for hanging out with us, sipping these watermelon ranch waters, and spiraling over the absolute unmitigated mess that is Houston. Remind your friends to subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, and share this conversation with another reality TV-loving bride who desperately needs to vent.
And remember, if someone ever looks at you and tells you to stop crying while you are actively grieving, you have our full, unrestricted permission to walk away and never speak to them again. Protect your peace.
Keep hustling, keep laughing, and we'll see you on the Snark side.